Also, if similar to the two previous meet and confers, for just the purposes of capturing attendance, if parties or attendees here could put their name and organization in the chat, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I'll let Roger, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. This is Roger Serta, counsel for SDG&E. This is our third meet and confer to develop the joint pre-hearing conference statement in the demand response OIR rulemaking 2509004. And I think the goal of today's call is to finalize the joint pre-hearing conference statement. During our last meeting confer call, we discussed including an additional table that summarized additional parties' positions and responses, and Chastity Henderson graciously led that effort and circulated the most current version, I believe, last night. So everyone should have a copy of that document. And I think there's also some other, I know that Edison had sent the most recent version of the actual joint pre-hearing conference statement for folks to review and approve. And I think probably the best way to start, since should we start with the additional issue table, since that is kind of the newest addition?
Actually, Roger, what I think we should start with is actually the pleading itself, so that we can get that out of the way. I think that'll be quick. I guess, Amy, do you want to just quickly walk it through? We received a few corrections from what we circulated, so we just wanted to share that. It's nothing substantive, and I don't think it impacts your approvals, but I do understand that people have things out to their managements for review, so I just wanted to flag those issues.
I can show my screen right now. And I have been working through corrections that have been sent to me. So this version does contain corrections. So I didn't receive any changes to kind of the intro or the background. We did add, well, I think this was in the version that was
we don't have to walk through it. We can assume people read it. I want to flag what's highlighted, and I want to flag the corrections.
Okay. So I will go to, so here's what was in footnote 10, describing the additional issues table. And we just want to make sure, Chastity, that what's described here does, reflect like your efforts and what Bloom had done over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I think the first thing is that I did extrapolate it verbatim, but I did receive some corrections from one of the parties. I think they just wanted to clarify their issue a little bit more. And so it was a minor addition to the language. Let me see where that was. So it's not verbatim, it was essentially what I'm saying.
Okay.
But it's not a new issue, though, is it?
No, it's not a new issue. It's by 350 Bay Area. On the table, it would be row 16. They just wanted to add to that in-state energy planning. So in-state wide is the language that was inserted, but doesn't change anything when it's not an additional issue. Secondly, I received Tesla's online form. They sent me the actual form later that day. So that's a change. And I in receiving people's drafts, I did whether or not it was an addition, they did say that
So maybe,
advanced energy. Yeah, so I mean there are some updates, and
so I think what I would ask is if Chastity, hello, this is Olivia. We've not yet met. Nice to meet
Hi.
you. Thank you for all your work. Maybe I would ask you to look closely at this footnote 10 and share perhaps in the chat how you would correct it instead of us trying to live correct it online.
Yeah,
hopefully we can do that. And then, but people understand conceptually, we're just trying to factually describe what this was. That's hopefully not controversial, but I think as we talk through the table, we might understand more nuances that need to be explained anyway. So that will go in footnote 10. And I see a couple hands.
David Gibbs was first.
Hey, good morning, everyone. This is David Gibbs from Cal Advocates. I think that I noticed the footnote on the table itself and the language in that footnote. And I think the issue I'm struggling with is the word extrapolated. And to me, that means it was, the language was used but modified somewhat. But in the email that was sent describing how the table was populated, it said that the table, the responses were copied, verbatim. So I think extrapolated might be the wrong word here, and would recommend maybe the table was populated from each respondent's online form entry. Does that make sense? I hope I'm not being too nitpicky with the wording here.
No,
but
I think
that's what we
fine.
do, I guess.
I mean, I think that's why we put this in there, because we only, I think Chastity can explain exactly what was said. So yeah, I agree.
So let me try to do that real quick. So yeah, initially it was verbatim. I pulled the language verbatim. As I got revisions to the table, like I said, there was one minor correction or revision to one of the issues, and so populated is fine with me. And like I can provide some revised language.
And if 350's response is the only one that was edited, maybe we keep the original footnote and maybe add an extra footnote that just explains that 350 Bay Area's response was edited slightly. That way the judge knows that the rest of the table was actually populated verbatim from each respondent's online form entry.
I like that. Or if the edit is minor,
well, I guess
maybe they can live without the edit. I don't know.
I would leave it to Chastity.
Yeah.
If there were additional ones, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think once we go through the table and we see the other issues that I encountered in doing this process, then maybe that will bring a little more clarity as to how we want to go about this footnote.
I agree. I think that's a good, let's just quickly proceed through the pleading. I see other hands, but if your questions relate to the process, if you could just hold those questions, that would help us move through this, I think.
Could I just clarify the 350 Bay Area issue as the party representative?
We're going to go through the table directly later. So can you hold that? We definitely want to hear you, but I would like to just get through the pleading right now.
This is Beth on behalf of Bay Run 3C Run and SD Run. I think you can just simplify it to say this summarizes the parties' responses. But I'll leave it to you all.
Yeah, I wasn't there on Friday, and I don't know what the parties agreed to, and therefore I really am relying on others, and Chastity especially, who knows exactly what she had to do to create this work product. Yeah.
I would echo that. I mean, I don't know if it needs to be that complicated, but again, I think once I go through the table, I would leave it to the group to, kind of decide how we want to present this.
All right. Thank you. So attachment E is the other section that we added to describe this new table that parties agreed to add on Friday. And again, I wasn't there, so I'm not going to say more, but please, maybe Amy or anyone else, if you've not looked at this, this is what's new, this section.
I think this will be.
Yeah, big change.
Yeah. Okay.
Populated, I thought that David's suggestion, populated, was good.
Yeah, but let's wait. We'll make all the edits after we discuss the table, I think, just so
Fair
we agree on what the footnote will say and how we describe it here. But I hope this is not going to cause a headache. It's not a substantive change, as you can see. This is the end of the pleading, and then all we're doing is attaching all of the attachments you've already seen, except they've been modified slightly based on what parties agreed to on Friday. There should not be anything other than what everyone agreed to on Friday. So I think, is there more to show in the table? Oh, we need to show terms corrections, right? That was one other thing that we changed from the version we circulated.
Yeah, so attachment
On this
C.
call? I don't see.
Yes, I'm joining via phone. This is Ruthie Lazenby from Turn, and thanks.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, sorry, I had to be on phone.
Yeah, so from last Friday, Turn wanted, I thought it was just the one footnote to the valuation, but it was actually to the valuation methodologies and the resource adequacy evaluation regarding, like, while it's quasi-legislative, that ex parte rules should apply.
And so the version we circulated only had it in one column, but it was the same language. So again,
That's correct.
You already have seen Turn's language. If you participated on Friday or watched that recording, you know what their objection was. And all we did was add it to the other column that we missed adding it to. So not a substantive change and completely within the agreements on Friday.
Thanks for
And
making
then
that change.
Then we have the new attachment, which I will be showing on here. All right, Chastity, do you want to drive, or I mean, are
Yeah,
you okay
I'll
with
take-
me showing the screen, or do you want to drive?
Oh, no, it's fine. As long as you don't mind me bossing you around for a little bit.
No problem.
Okay. So just real quick to some background, originally we were sent an Excel spreadsheet that kind of pulled all the information and compiled all the information from everyone's online forms. And so what I did is pull all the additional issues that were in that Excel spreadsheet and list them here in this table, and then created the last two columns on the right, the support and opposition columns, and then I circulated that to everyone, and once I got everybody's responses and revisions, incorporated that into this table again. And so in doing that, I wanted to highlight some changes from the original circulation of the table, as you can see there in the embedded comments, there was an additional footnote proposed by Edison, and that just really clarified or attempted to clarify what it could mean when a party did not list their support or opposition for an additional issue. And so aside from that, I modified footnotes 2 through 6. Essentially, initially I had it read responses summarized herein, but I just changed that to responses summarized below. And that footnote is on each kind of section break of the additional form. So you'll see in blue, it says response to online form, and that's footnote 2. And then we have, if you could go further down, at least to the next section. So response to online form with footnote 3, just to kind of, explain that these are the responses we're mentioning. Outside of that, there were some minor issues with what I received and what parties wanted included. And so in doing this, I tried to think of, the ALJ and what would be beneficial, and also what we had discussed as a group on Friday. And so various parties provided their support for their own proposed additional issue. I removed all of those instances with the understanding that I would hope that the commission would know that if a party was proposing the additional issue, they obviously supported it. And that was just to make it more clean and easy to read. The other thing I did was there were a couple of parties that provided additional comments or citations in the support or opposition column, and I just removed that language to just keep it simple, that it was just the party name. I'm hoping that that's okay, and that if any party who did provide such language wanted to have their points come across, they could do that either in the pre-hearing conference or, if we submit a post pre-hearing conference statement. And then lastly, the last column, which was the additional responses down at the very end, that was my attempt to, if you could go to the last page, that would be helpful. This was my attempt to list other proposed additional issues that I received when parties gave me their table. And I think United mentioned that this issue was listed on their online form, but it wasn't in the Excel spreadsheet. And so knowing that some parties revised their online forms when it was reopened Friday, there may be certain issues that weren't captured here that I did not have. Tesla did send me their online form on Friday, and so I was able to incorporate their issues into the distribution email that I sent out. And aside from that, I think CALSA was another one, and CEDMC provided these additional issues. And so I included a footnote trying to kind of encapsulate where these came from and that they were outside of the online form, because the overall general idea of this table was to just take what we already provided and provide a high level overview for the commission staff to kind of see what issues were proposed, where parties kind of landed on support or opposition from it, and then they could go to the online form itself to kind of see any further details that the parties provided for these issues. So this last section I'm kind of opening it up to the group as to how we want to handle that, since these issues weren't circulated and will not have any support or opposition associated with them. And and they do not reflect what was in their online form aside from United's issue 50. And that's kind of it. So I see some hands raised. Luke?
Yes, hi. Good morning. Luke Tugas, consultant for the California Efficiency and Demand Management Council, or CEDMEC. Thank you, first of all, for including those issues in there. We actually had those in our original online form, or at least as I read it, that's what it looked like. So, not pointing fingers, but for whatever reason, they did not make them into the original spreadsheet. But like you said, it's clearly too late to get folks to weigh in on whether or not they, they support or oppose these issues. So with that said, can you just, whoever's controlling the document, can you just scroll just a little bit so we can see the header for this section, please? And so additional responses. One concern that I have, and if folks feel that it is unfounded, let me know. But I just want to make sure that that the ALJ does not look at these issues as kind of throwaway things or anything like that, because really these 5 issues for the council, those fall under the resource adequacy issue category. So I wouldn't want them to think that this was just that was kind of tagged on at the end. Outside of a sort of category that was specified in the preliminary scope. And so I'd be open to, or at least put out there for some folks to respond to, having a different header, something along the lines of, and I'm just spitballing here, so don't take me literally, but something along the lines of, did not make, basically, I want to get across the point, did not make it into the original spreadsheet. Now, I'm not sure if that's a good header or not, but it sounds like United and CALSA had a similar situation as me. So be interested in their thoughts as well. Thank you.
Hey, Luke, this is Roger. So just to clarify, you said that these were on your original online form. They just did not make it to the attachment that was circulated.
Yep, that's correct. It was under the resource adequacy.
Okay, so to Luke, if I understand correctly, you had listed these issues actually under the resource adequacy valuation issue as kind of like additional things to consider, or kind of expounding kind of what CEDMEC maybe thought or thinks, should be included under that issue, but not in that, like, specifically that additional issues section of the form.
Right.
Right. So to be clear, when we're talking about this form that parties sent out, there was actually a section called Other Issues, which is where Chastity pulled from. But those 5 issues, or those 5 topics that CEDMEC had, was actually listed under like the valuation section up above.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was box 27. Exactly. And
Yeah.
if I'm making a big deal, about it, then feel free to push back, but I just want to get that across.
No, I think it's actually, I think it's a good thing to point out as we describe what this additional issues table reflects, because I just want to make sure that we're clear in its description in the joint statement. So
Right.
that's helpful. Thank you.
And
Thank
can
you.
I ask, this is Olivia, just related to how the work, I guess it would be helpful if we called them by, so the online form, we'll call the online form. And then there's a summary table that was created from the online form, which was, is
Right.
the only summary table. There's more than one thing that was that use this form. So first is this. So is SEDMEC's position in here?
I've not, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's my first question, because I know we initially we didn't have the concept of having the work that Chastity ended up doing was in addition to this other work. So I guess what I'm wondering is these are like the main real categories that the decision had already proposed. So there's the RA valuation, and I'm sorry, my eyesight is not that good, but I see SEDMEC is listed there, and I wonder if you feel like this, and we're providing the link so it won't be such an eye chart for the judge, but this already says that you believe it should be in scope. It may not, I can't tell if it lists more than that, but I guess that's.
It just describes
Olivia,
whether they think it's quasi-legislative or rate setting.
Yeah. So part of the problem that I have in this not this process, but in the proceeding, the way it's kicked off, is that the preliminary scoping memo had not a lot of detail. Okay, so I don't know how this is going to play out, this proceeding. And one thing that I have in my mind, or one question I'm asking is, one potential scenario that I'm seeing is that the Energy Division will put forth, periodically put forth proposals that parties will, comment on. I don't know if the commission if the LG is going to allow parties to submit their own proposals. So the reason why I was so detailed in our ideas is because if this is our one chance, in case this is our one chance to get into the mind of the ALJ or staff that these are some issues that we would like to see addressed, I want to take advantage of that, But if it turns out, if we knew, with as a matter of fact, that the door would be open, an opportunity would exist for parties to put forth their own proposals, then I'm fine just saying, okay, the council supports having resource adequacy within the scope, but I don't know what they mean by resource adequacy.
So Luke, I don't mean to be tongue in cheek, but as the
Please.
as the SCE attorney that has, my team has been primarily the laboring oar behind this process. I have misgivings about this process. I had a lot of hope when we set up the online forum that this was going to be really, really helpful. And the truth. Sorry, I have an echo now for some reason. But the truth is, not everyone has participated. It was a short timeline to consolidate. We still don't have 100% participation. I guess the tongue-in-cheek response I have, and it's what I tell myself too, is like, let's save some fun for the PHC itself, because I think that will actually be on the record, that will actually have all the parties, that will actually have the judge. I feel like this pre-work, I really hope it's useful, but I worry that it's been probably hundreds of work hours from all of us together, and I don't know. I really hope that the commission will rely on your full statements that are sworn in your reply and opening comments, and whatever we say at the PHC, more than this document. But but I don't know either. I think maybe together we can ask for a process that makes sure that all of our substantive concerns are addressed. That's really what I hope we get to.
Yeah, and listen, first of all, I'll wrap this up now. First of all, thank you all for, realize, empathize with all the work that you all put in, and absolutely appreciate it. I don't want to be a big roadblock here. I'm very happy just to leave it as it is. And then, like you said, we can work things out with the PHC.
So this is Beth, Bayren, 3C Ren, SD Ren, and, we're very much a bit player in this proceeding. But one thing that I did do is yesterday I sent an email with like the one issue that we'd like to add to the IOUs, and I just forwarded that on to Chastity. But I also took what was there and kind of categorized it in an Excel spreadsheet so that the issues are actually clustered, because there's a lot of issue clustering. And I think that if this is presented with clustered issues, it's going to be a lot more useful for the ALJ and the commissioner's office. And I think that it's also going to distill like where, you know, if there's a common understanding of what the words on the page actually mean.
No, I'm sorry. Shirley, you have your hand up?
Yes. I think, Beth, you were referring to a table that you sent, an Excel table that you sent out after 7 o'clock yesterday evening, where I think you tried to do the clustering and the grouping. Is that the table you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, now I've tried to look at it and understand it. It scrambles things around, and I don't think we can use this table that you produced for the filing. I think people just don't have time to review it, see if they agree with what you've done. So I can see it took work, and I don't know how you did that amount of work. Maybe you use generative AI, but I appreciate that you made the effort late in the game. It's not something we can use here, and I don't believe that your clients have provided comments previously. I will leave to Chastity and Olivia and Roger to address the single issue that you have identified that you would like added, but that also is being done out of process. And I have been very concerned with sticking to a procedure and a process to give all parties reasonable opportunity for input and review of what all the other parties want to do. So I think your table just doesn't work at this point. And you can decide separately, if we don't want to use your table, whether you want to join the PHC or not.
The
you have
PhD statement, yes.
the PHC statement, yes, the joint statement that Olivia and her team have been so valiantly trying to pull together. But I will just say for PG&E, and I think probably for other parties too, no time, not able to, and then if people have concerns, like we just heard from the council, we're not going to have time to vet them. I'm sorry, I know someone did a lot of work on your table.
No, it was not a lot of work. It was not AI. It's literally just organizing things without changing any of the language anybody included.
Well, I still think it's too much too late, and people have sent materials up to management for approval, and we're not sending it again for filing tomorrow.
And my plan or hope is to get clarity from everyone today on the final language of the pleading so that we can file tomorrow. So yeah, I agree with you, Shirley. I think, unfortunately, I think it's late.
That's okay. I would just take Bayren and 3C Ren and SC Ren off the pleading, and I'll just file it and hope that it's more useful to the commission, because otherwise I think it's going to be unwieldy.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And I think that's a good solution in general. Like, I know that I wish this final work product was different too. It's just the way it works when we have so many parties. I hope to use our post, the process allows the judge envisions statements after the pre-hearing conference too. And so that's another place where this kind of organization might be really helpful to the process. So I think we do have other opportunities that are hopefully not so cumbersome. and not dictated by kind of trying to balance 30 plus parties in the proceeding. So did I understand that correctly? You would like to be removed from the pleading in the list?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. And just let me quickly look at the pleading. Or Amy, do you have the Excel of everyone? So that's Bay Ren. Were there others?
It was Bay Run, 3C Run, and SD Run.
SD-REN. Yep.
Right. So sorry, just I know this is, I apologize to do this on this call. Do I remove their name from this joint participant list as well?
No, because we already submitted that. That's frozen. That's what we did
Okay.
yesterday. So,
Okay.
but I'm removing their names from the pleading itself.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking for the third.
I can do this separately.
Okay. Oh, I see. Is it SD Run? Was that right?
Yeah. SD
Okay.
Run, 3C
Okay.
Run, Bay
I got
Run.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And sorry. Thank you and sorry that I understand.
I'm just going to jump in real quick. It's Chastity again. Regarding these last subset of issues, I generally would recommend, and I don't think it would be too much of a hassle, that if these are issues that were included in the online form, that we leave them in and just change that additional responses heading to match what we have above. Because I think that, again, the general idea was to just kind of provide this high level list, and that way the commission staff can go to the online form if they feel they need to, further see what the parties have described.
Yeah.
Have
Go ahead.
have my hand up for an
Sorry.
issue that, before we totally forget it and, go on to something new. Can I make
Oh,
my
yeah.
comment?
Sorry about that.
Okay, this is Claire Broom, 350 Bay Area, and I wanted to comment on Olivia's previous statement, questioning the utility of this joint support opposed table. I found it quite useful and a way of capturing the additional issues that had a lot of party support, as
Oh, good.
opposed to ones where there wasn't much comment one way or the other, or issues where a number of parties opposed. And I agree that the PHC on the 16th will be the definitive record, but it did take time, but I think there is some value to it. Thank you.
Oh, you made me smile. I'm glad.
Okay.
This is Shirley. I'd like to
Shirley.
return to the comment about the SEDMIC issues in lines 52 through 56 being in another part of the online forum. So that's great. But what about United and CALSA on lines 50 and 51? Were those issues also in their online forums?
So I will say that United in their email to me said that yes, their issue was in their online form. I can't speak to CALSA.
And for CALSA, yes, it was. It's also an issue, though, that is mentioned in other places. I don't care if it's taken off here because it's mentioned multiple other places within this, but if for whatever reason it's helpful for the record to state that that's an issue that we wanted and that we brought up, then I would want it reflected here.
Okay, so I think I'm going to summarize what I think are kind of like next steps as it pertains to this table is that Chastity will work together to just make sure that the description in the pleading of attachment E is factually correct, as well as, what's being included. Maybe we describe these last 7 issues that are listed here. We describe where those came. We'll have to describe where those came from.
Hi, Amy. It's Roger Serta with SDG&E. Why don't we, here's a suggestion for that last page. Instead of it being additional responses, it could be additional issues raised in online forums. And then the footnote can explain that these were located in other areas. That way, when the ALJ and the commission sees this, they know that it's in the form, but to the extent that they go to that one section where they're seeing all the other additional issues and they're not finding it, it's clear that there are in the forms, they're just included in other areas, and this form just trying to capture everything that folks had submitted as part of the forms.
Okay.
Does that, Luke, does that, and sorry, Council for United and Khalsa, does that language work? Does that approach work?
Yep, I was just typing that message. That sounds great to me. Thank you for that. That idea.
And Chastity, does that actually reflect your understanding of where these things were? Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi,
Sorry. Go ahead.
this is Colin Smith from LEAP. I just want to maybe clarify something that I think is perhaps what Roger just said, but just to make sure I'm understanding correctly. First off, I also did appreciate the development of this table on additional issues. I think it was time well spent. I also have a similar comment to what Luke said, though, which is that, certain issues that, LEAP put into the online form, because the kind of initial scope of the proceeding was so broad, they sort of, the initial scope items sort of looked like umbrella issues. And so specific issues that were connected to those umbrella issues, LEAP called out in its comments in I think it was like box 27 that Luke mentioned, not in the additional issues section of the form. Because they didn't seem like additional issues. They just seemed like subtopics under the initial scope issues.
Exactly.
And so there's a lot of content contained in those, the boxes that provided more detail on our thoughts on each scope item. So I just wanted to confirm that that additional detail will also be provided to the ALJ as part of the pre-hearing conference statement.
Yes, thanks, Colin. So in the actual the statement, what's being attached, I think we're calling it D, is actually a zip file. It's an export of everything that was either submitted online and then plus United and Tesla's because the form had closed. So they submitted their responses as in the Word form, which was also shared, I think, in that initial November 26th email to the service list when we created the online form. Plus, we provided a Word document of what was in the Microsoft form. That's all here. So parties can click on the SharePoint link or also follow the instructions, I think described in the beginning about how parties can obtain all of these, Excel zip files and recordings and transcripts on sc.com.
Okay, that's helpful to understand. And I just wanted to make sure that was the appropriate spot to, I guess, go into more detail about specific scope items underneath the sort of umbrella items. Because
That's
I know
right.
that the additional issues section also had like an option to tie your additional issues back to a scope item. And so that was made me a little uncertain where to put it, but it sounds like the additional details are going to be provided to the ALJ and that that's the appropriate place to go into more detail about what like specific scope items would be under these umbrella items.
This is Shirley Wu, and I'm going to make a comment here because I think many of the pleadings filed by various parties have a lot of issues that are sub-issues and that have not all been written out in the documents and the tables, which are still very useful. The problem is there is no substitute for actually reading the opening and reply comments.
Exactly.
So, yeah, submitted by any number of you, which I understand because I have tried to read them. So maybe at some point in the pre-hearing conference, we should just recommend to the ALJ that, there's really much more richness and depth in the comments, and we encourage you to actually read them. Because I know PG&E's got a number of issues, so does SCE, and others of you, the council, I'm sorry, Luke, I call you the council, and others. And I think Bloom's another one. There are many that have a lot more a richness to them. United's definitely one of them. So we can't create a document that substitutes for the ALJ actually reading everything. And so maybe we just should encourage him or her or whoever's going to be doing all this work to go in and put in the effort to read and think.
Oh, Shirley, you voiced something that concerns me because when we got this ruling, I was like, wait, this is like what you have to do to understand everyone's thoughts. If we're doing this work, are our due process rights going to be realized in this proceeding? Exactly what you said. I really, this is no substitute for reading everyone's comments and hopefully for each party stating their position at the PHC, you know. We only have 8 minutes left.
So
have we gotten through what we need to for the table, Chastity? I think we have to finalize maybe the footnote this footnote that's being shown right now, and I think we have to finalize the footnote in the pleading describing the process. Is there anything else that remains to be done? And David, I see your hand.
Hi, and I don't mean to step on Chastity here. First, thank you to SCE and Chastity and all the parties for all the hard work on this. And this has been an endeavor, very much appreciated. I wanted to go back to the point I raised earlier about the language in the footnotes. I think that's footnotes 2, 3, and 4 on this table and the way that the table is described in the pleading. And is it my understanding then that the only edit to the issue topic that was populated from the Excel spreadsheet table, which was populated from our responses to the online form, was the inclusion of the words in state in 350 Bay Area's issue topic? Is that correct?
Yeah, and statewide.
And statewide. Can I make a suggestion, and with all respect to 350 Bay Area for wanting to create some clarity around your response or the issue topic? Can we maybe remove those words so that we can keep this as a verbatim population from our responses? I think the inclusion of that is it's causing me a little anxiety with in having to add a new footnote or changing the language in the existing footnotes if we just remove those three words, 350 Bay Area, you'll have the opportunity to clarify at the pre-hearing conference, and I'm sure you've clarified in your opening and reply comments. And then that just kind of simplifies things with regard to the footnotes and how this is described in the pleading. And then the footnotes and the pleading can just say the responses summarized below were populated from information provided I think the way it's captured in the pleading is better, where we use the words verbatim.
May I say something?
Please, absolutely. And sorry for taking.
No, it's a reasonable perspective. This is Claire Broom, 350 Bay Area. The only word included was statewide because it already said in planning. And I'd be very happy if you wanted to asterisk it as an addition. When I wrote the original submission, it was very clear it was statewide because my 600-word explanation included the IPER, the IRP, et cetera, et cetera. So it was clear I was talking about considering demand response in the context of statewide energy planning. But since I had very few words for the title, statewide got left out. So I think I would meet the spirit of what you're trying to do if we left statewide in so that the title was intelligible, but you could footnote it and say, an addition from the filing. But, that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thanks. Completely understandable. And we at Cal Advocates also struggled with the limited character input that we could put in for each of these headings. I think Cal Advocates is fine with that if we wanted to just indicate that the other responses were verbatim, asterisk behind statewide there, and just indicate that was the word statewide were in addition to the response provided by 350 Bay Area, and it has been added, to clarify the response. I think we're fine with that. I'm just trying to make this simple. I know we've already got the document routing through management for approval, so the fewer edits at this point, the better for our perspective.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Claire. Okay, I know we have 2 minutes left. I think for today's agenda, the only 2 items that I wanted to get through today was the pleading and this additional table for attachment E. So, based upon today's discussion, we'll be making sure that we update. Oh, Jesse, I see your hand up.
Just want to confirm that we have everybody's approval to submit on their behalf. I believe we do, with the exception of Cal Advocates, and I believe you're going to be sending that today. Just want to double check that we have. Well, maybe it's a question, Amy, but do we have everybody's approval to submit on their behalf here? I understand the RENs, is no longer going to be part of this, but any other parties?
Oh, and Olivia, sorry, one additional thing. Do you want to ask for everyone's U number or identification number? Utility identification?
Yeah, only the utilities have U numbers, but other parties may have case system management numbers, but it's okay. We'll do with what we have. If you know what yours is, you can email them, but I think we're just going to look them up. But really, I don't think we're done with the pleading. So that's what I'm worried about. I don't think we finished. We need Chastity's or this group's agreement on what we're finally saying. And was it footnote 10? Can't remember the footnote number.
Yes. Footnote 10.
Okay. So, what would be helpful? I don't know if Chastity's already working on this, but I'm
taking a look at it, and my first suggestion would just to delete the language in the first sentence after submitted. So by December, delete that, everything out that came after that in that first sentence.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, wait.
And just say the online, that it was extrapolated from the online forms that were submitted, period.
No, we have to have the date because the forms were submitted twice. There were forms submitted on the 5th after you started your process.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, this table
So
does not
this is
reflect
accurate.
does not reflect any changes made to forms that were made on when the form was reopened last Friday.
But again, I did mention that Tesla provided their form to me on Friday, and that was included in this table and distributed.
Yeah, but
okay. So here's what the footnote currently says. I'm just copying it and putting it here.
Can you make it a little bigger? Thank you.
Sorry.
So it's in the chat, Chastity, too. So you can copy paste if you want. And
sorry, we were changing the word extrapolated to populated.
Yes.
I'm definitely okay with that.
And maybe populated verbatim.
Yeah. And then except where noted, because yeah, populated verbatim. And then we have the footnote in the table that explains why we added statewide. And I think that I'm going to add the line that it was for clarity, which I agree that was the intent. And I think that okay. Let's see where.
Okay. Okay.
The only other thing I would say is if you could just reference both parties that I represent, and it would be Bloom Energy, not just Bloom, and Enchanted Rock. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so this is the footnote, but then I assume that the same changes need to be made to the description for attachment E.
Yes.
Okay. We were taking out the word verbatim, correct?
I thought we kept in verbatim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and we just footnoted. All right, I know we've gone a little over, but I think we're done.
Just real quick, again, in that section, if you could just make sure wherever you mention my clients, it'll be Bloom Energy and Enchanted Rock. You have it listed just as Blooms.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's right there. I already, is that already fixed?
Maybe,
Bloom Energy
can
and
you scroll down a little bit? Sorry, I'm looking at the description, section B, December 5th, meet and confer.
Oh, you mean right here?
Section B.
Oh, section B. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Oh. Section B. Not attachment B. Oh.
I see.
Sorry.
At the very beginning, you say representatives for Bloom/Turn, and it's really Bloom Energy Enchanted Rock. Is that what you're saying?
I'm wondering if this
Sorry,
is
I'm totally okay. Here, I see it.
I've updated it, Amy.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It was the mean.
Thank you.
Sorry. I was in the wrong section B. Okay.
So are we done now?
I have nothing else. Thanks for all the work on this.
Thank you.
Really quickly, was there a footnote added to the pleading earlier on?
Which pleading?
The
This
pleading
is
that's
the only
shown.
pleading. Yeah.
The pleading shown now that should, okay, so this, what we're seeing as 10 is 10. For some reason I'm showing on mine as a different number, but
Yeah, I think it's a little outdated because mine is 9.
yeah, mine shows as 9 also. That's why I asked if there was an additional footnote.
I wonder what got. It could also be red lines sometimes are weird. Let's see.
True.
So
Yeah.
I believe so footnote 8 I did add footnote 8 to kind of describe like the
online form and the fact that we the Excel, the link to the Excel file.
Right.
Okay.
Because I mean, there's unfortunately multiple versions of like what due to time, like the timing of when submissions were done and when I pulled the information out of the Microsoft form. So to reflect like the timing of all these different versions of Excels and responses, that's what I attempted to describe in this additional or in these additional footnotes.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, there are a lot of timing differences, and so there's going to be a lot of versions of Excel files and forms. But thanks, David, for catching that. All right. Unless there's anything else,
So who has the current version of the form Chastity created? I think we're calling that attachment E.
I do.
Can we just quickly look at
meeting.
those footnotes before we close the call? Okay, so here, this one, footnote 4, in addition to the response. Oh, I think we should say a clarifying addition. Just, I don't think it's, because, okay. Because I don't think it's a substantive change, but it is the reason that we can't, this one isn't verbatim, I guess.
Yeah, maybe we can just say, the words in quotes statewide, or the word quote statewide was added to this issue topic to clarify the response provided by 350 Bay Area, so that the judge knows that it's just that word statewide that was added. It's not the whole issue.
Okay, how about, yeah, that's fine. Statewide was added to clarify. Was it added?
There, yeah, great.
Clarify this issue. Okay.
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. I think that was the only other one that was sort of in my head of like, wait, we need to.
Okay.
And then the last thing I want to look at is that last section of the form.
Real quick before we move on from the footnotes, I think 2 through 4, responses summarized were, we had that word extrapolated again. Maybe we say populated verbatim.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate the editing on the fly. I really do.
I'll make sure that I'll change these and these footnotes. And the last, we'll do a search before we add it. The last thing I want to just make sure is that last section and where we change the title.
Oh, this one?
Yes. So can I see footnote 8, please? Responses summarized below were provided outside of the online form. Is that correct?
That's not correct, right?
Right. So there's some issues with this. And so
Perhaps it's something like, for various reasons, they were not included in the tables that were shared with parties to react to, reflect on. So parties didn't have the opportunity to provide whether input if they supported or opposed these, but for different reasons, they were not included in the draft table that was shared. That's a longer way of putting it, but for different reasons, they were not included.
maybe we just try to make it, parties were unable to respond to these issues because it wasn't included in the initial table or something, but we're including these issues for completeness. Parties assert that these were included, these issues were raised in their online form or something like that. Actually, I don't know if we heard from everyone that they were included in the online form. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, we did.
We did?
Yes.
Who said that?
Miss Chastity, sorry. I heard from United and I have it via email, and then CALSA and SEDMEC responded here.
Okay, so my problem is this. I want to make it clear that they have said that because I'm the one signing this pleading. Otherwise, I'm swearing that it's true. So if you can say that they have all asserted this thing, that's great. Let's say what that thing is. I just don't want to be the one saying it because I haven't double checked.
Okay.
This is Luke. I can confirm that for SEDMEC.
Yeah, I think yours was the only one I fully understood because we talked through it, but I don't remember specifically CalStar United, and I don't know. But I think it's fair to say that these additional issues, parties were not able to respond to these additional issues due to them not being included, right, in the table that was circulated on Monday. Is that right? Is that when it was circulated?
Friday.
Oh, you work fast. It was circulated on the 5th. Okay. After circulation on December 5th. Okay, good. That's fine. That's probably the main point, just so that they understand why it's blank. And I think that all the rest of it was just us understanding, should these be included or not? That was why we were focused on, are these really completely brand new things or not? I think it's okay. Yeah.
Delete all of it.
Okay. I think we're now done.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think we have, do we have time to send this out do we need to send this out again?
No,
Olivia?
there's not really time. I'm sorry,
Okay.
guys. We've done the editing on the fly. You see what the comments are. If you really need an update, email us directly. But we're going to try to find sort of every party that has a case ID number. We're going to try to insert that in the first paragraph. We're going to make sure we're going to conform these edits like populated instead of extrapolated, like whatever. We'll just try to carry through those edits we discussed everywhere, but there won't be other kinds of edits. I guess I'll say that. So if you need something more, let me know, but this is it.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Olivia. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, thank you very much.
Thank you to everyone.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks all.